Hey mates, I'm Alex.
And I'm Gaston.
Welcome to Power Mates.
This is the place to learn and share about Fabric and Power Platform. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel with your friends and colleagues.
So, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of I think useful and exciting features in Power Platform, and is the reusable Power FX functions.
That's right, Alex. And if you ever found yourself copying and pasting the same logic across multiple controls or screens, this update is going to save you time, effort, and reduce many errors.
Yeah, exactly, Aston. And it's like having your own little library, custom functions inside Power Apps and Power Automate. And today, so we are going to show how exactly to create and use them.
Let's talk about what is this actually is. Reusable Power App functions let you define your own functions that can be used across all your apps and flows. So just like built-in functions like if, len, or text, that's a way.
But the magic here is that these functions are centralized, So if you need to make a change, you change it once and it updates everywhere it's used in your app, So, and the best of all is that you can include parameters and even call other function. And when I say other functions, it's pre-built function or also other custom functions, So just like you would in traditional programming, So let me show you how to create and use it. Okay, let's switch to my screen here. So as usual, this is the homepage for Power Apps. It's make.powerapps.com, and this is the home for Power Apps. As we mentioned, I think on every single video with Gaston is you don't need to pay to test and validate that. You can create your own Microsoft 365 developer account and start using Power Platform, M365, and Microsoft Fabric. We have a couple of videos explain how, so you can check out later. So here we are on the homepage of the Power Apps. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, I have an option that say functions. So what could happen if you don't see that functions, you click on more, click on discover all here, and then you can switch and find functions here and also pin it so you can find it quickly if you need. Okay, so after find functions, what we are going to do is effectively create a function. So let's click on create a function, and here it is new function. So we can add a display name of the function, a description of the function. Here the one of the most important piece here, the parameters, so you can add different inputs. So, and then also if you need, you can reference tables, so you can use different artifact or information or metadata from tables. So let's assume here quickly, I don't want to start talking on tables now. Let's start using reusable functions, more like a function that someone needs to send parameters and ask a return. So let's assume that we want to calculate, I don't know, revenue. Okay, calculate revenue. Let's put like PowerMate prefix here. That calculate revenue. Okay. Of course, the description, if you want, and you are working with a team, of course, you want to add a description more technical, maybe describing parameters and all. Since this is just a demo video, so let's assume that let's add 3 parameters here. So what I want to do is like, I want to calculate the revenue. Let's assume that we are selling something. Okay. So what you need to know is, to calculate revenue, is the cost of the item the sell price of the item, and of course the quantity on some point to calculate the total revenue of a transaction. Okay, so let's add here the cost. Let's assume that is a decimal, for example. Let's add here the quantity, an integer. And here let's add the sell price. And then result, the result is a revenue that the value is a decimal. Okay, so how we calculate the revenue? Probably Gaston knows more than me how to calculate revenue and all. It's the sales price. Important point here is like I'm in this piece here that is formula. What I'm going to write here is Power FX formulas multiplied by quantity less the costs multiplied by quantity. We can take common factor here and say sell price less cost per multiplied by quantity. But I want to just show what we are doing here. It's effectively calculating that. So as you can see here, I just write the formula. Because it's a function, we need to return something. And what is the return is a function. And we are saying here that revenue, it's a decimal, but we need to add revenue, it's a result, and it's an option. Okay, so it's an object that contains the revenue. So let's click on save here. So as you can see here, it's pretty simple. You define the input, you define the output, and then write down the formula and other results. Let's click on save here. So that's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, this is really nice. So the overall these functions takes the kind of the unit cost, the sell price, and the overall cost, and with that you are calculating the revenue. So this is super useful. Of course, a lot of ideas that I was brainstorming on my end on how to leverage the most of these features.
Yeah, for example, think on complex calculations that you can do once. And then if you have a team of developers or citizen developers, they just need to call or invoke the function within their apps or flow. So let's check quickly how to invoke that from Power Apps and for Power Automate. Let's continue here to the Power App Studio. I have here this Power App. As you can see quickly here, I have the three inputs that we need for the function, the cost, the quantity, and the sales price. And then I have a button that should calculate the revenue. And then I have a label here that should show the results. What we are going to do here, every time I press the button, I'm going to set the result like the calculation of the revenue. So here, just to show the difference, I have multiplied of the quantity for the cost. So if I run that quickly here, and I say like 3 and then 5, so of course it's 15 because it's a simple formula. Let's change that to use our function. One important point here is the functions are located in the Dataverse table. Functions are stored on a Dataverse table named environment. Okay, so on the environment table, you have all your defined functions. So what you need to do is came to data and add data. I already have that added here, but you can add data and then look for environment. I have already added environment, but you can see here you have environment variable definition, environment variable values. So you just need to add environment. You came here and you can add environment dot and then find your function. As usual on Dataverse, your functions are going to have your prefix for the solution. Remember, like the table, CR19 underscore the name of your function. There's another option, and I think this is a best option to use here, is came to your function, click on the three dots, and then click here, copy code snippet. So you click on copy code snippet, you return to your Power App, and then just paste your code snippet. Here you just need to fill the values for the cost, the quantity, and the sales price. Let's fill costs. Let's say, well, the name, text input costs. Okay, so let's come here and say text input cost dot value. Let's do the same thing for quantity, text input quantity dot value, text input sales price dot value. This is good that happened right now is because So I added the connection before I start working here on record the video. So you need to refresh in order to the connection know that something happens. Okay, so that is what is happening right now. And it's good because if that happens to you, say, I create the function and I'm not seeing here right now. So you need to refresh the connection. As you can see here, that refresh, and that's exactly what happened here. And then you have result. So result now it's an object because remember that we define result as an object. Result dot revenue. One point here before jump to the next piece is that you can test your function here, your function here. So if we click on test, we can click in here and let's say cost 5, quantity 3, and sales price, let's say 8. As you can see here, the revenue is 9. And if I'm doing the math right, it's that exactly 9 is the revenue if you have the cost 5, the sell price 8, and you're selling 3 items. Okay? So again, on your Power Up, you shall need to invoke that way. Environment, because it's going to be on the environment, then the function, and then pass the parameters. And if you don't know how to invoke that, you can click here and copy the code snippet. Add one more thing. It's like, what do you think, Gaston? You know, it's just like that. It's just format or change the values and everything on the fly, and it's going to work in everywhere you have the function reference.
Yeah, I feel that Alex, the beauty of an important thing to remark to our Power Maze here is even if you want to change the formula or the format of the formula, you can just go back to the functions, tweak whatever you need once, and that applies across all your app. So no more hunting down and checking all the formulas.
Yeah, exactly. It's just return here to the function, edit the function, save again, and that's it. Let me show you last point here. Last thing I want to show you is how to do the same thing on Power Automate. And so before wrap up, let's come here to Power Automate and let's create quickly a flow like intent flow here, just for test purpose. Manually flow, reusable FX formulas or functions, say. Quickly here, let's assume that we have an input. It's the same thing, no? So we want to use that revenue calculation from the Power Automate. So let's assume the first one is the cost, the second one is the quantity, and the third one is the sell price. So let's add that. And here on Power Automate, there's another interesting point to check. How to invoke that Power Effect functions is you need to first open Dataverse, because as I mentioned before, the functions are stored on Dataverse. And then you need to check for the perform and unbound action. That is important. Perform and unbound action. Remember that name because it's not too mnemotechnical, but it's what you need to do, what you need to click. And so click on perform and unbound, choose the action name, and then here is when we need to select our function. Steer 19 p.m. calculate revenue is the name of our function. And the Power Automate automatically is going to show our 3 inputs here, and then you can here add the input, and of course you can continue doing other actions on your flow or sending that to other tables. But this is the point of thing on Power Automate is it's first of all Dataverse, and perform an unbound action is the name of the action that you need to use effectively to call the function. And then after you select your function, you just need to fill your cost, like costs or the number, or using what I add here, like the parameters and all. Okay, What do you think, mate? Do you think that it would be interesting and useful on some point?
Yeah, this is really useful, and that how that operates, and you can search this logic and multiple places, and you can add logical and conditional formatting, all the rules and validation and calculations without kind of the need of duplicating anything. That's really great, and something that is nice and very useful for sure. So this is great and useful in a daily basis work. So uh, that's a wrap up. I think Power FX reusable functions bring kind of modularity and reusability to power apps. Like I don't think that we see something like this never before. So they make our apps kind of cleaner, kind of easier to maintain and more scalable. So especially in all the enterprise or multi-screen scenarios. So hopefully power mates let us know in the comments if you are using something like this, what kind of logic would you turn into a reusable function. So we'd love to hear the comments on this video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, before that, we have something named like user defined functions that were more like specifically for power ups and inside the power ups. But yeah, nothing like that. So, as usual, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and join us on this journey.
And remember that together we can unlock the full potential of Power Platform and Microsoft Fabric.